Hey, Richard Beech here from Sonic Stay Amped, and today I'm reviewing the Orange OR100, the massive new 100 watt amplifier from Orange. It's the first in the OR range to have two channels as well, so we've got a clean channel and a dirty channel, which is really handy, and loads of extra features like boosting, and we can go from using 4 output valves to 2 output valves, and we can also then use a switch here to be on full power or half power. Basically it means we can have 100 watts, 70 watts, 50 watts or 30 watts, which is really handy. So before I go any further, I'm just going to play a clean sound I like and a distortion sound I like, just to set the mood. So here we go. So we've got these 3 switches here to start off with. We've just basically got our power, which is very self-explanatory, and here we have a switch which, when it's in the middle, is on standby, or you can choose full power or half power. So if you're on 4 output valves, full power would be 100 watts and a half power would be 50 watts. If you are on 2 output valves, full power would be 70 watts and a half power would be 30 watts. Then we have our channel selector, which also has a foot switch selector you can plug in at the back for the dirty or the clean channel. Then moving on to the dirty channel, we have our master volume to begin with, a 3-band EQ, which is probably the best EQ I've heard on an Orange amp ever. Very impressed with it. And our gain knob here. Moving on to the clean channel, we have a 2-band EQ, which again is very good, and our master volume. So what's really impressive is the fact that we have 100 watts potentially of clean power, like you do on the TH100, for example, and it just sounds beautiful. It's a really nice tone. So on the back, we've got our effects loop here, which is powered by a 12AX7. Then we've got our gain boost foot switch for the drive channel and the global boost foot switch there. And we also have the channel selector foot switch input. Then we've got our speaker outputs, so you can have 2 8 ohms or you can have a single 16 ohm output. And then you have the switch to go from 4 output valves to 2 output valves. As you can see, we're running it on 2 at the moment. Okay, what I'm going to do now is play around with the EQ and get some slightly darker tones. So let's get the bass up. I'm going to turn that up all the way. Let's let the treble down to about 9 o'clock. So we should have a lot of the mid-range coming through because we turned the treble down, and a lot of the bass end coming through. And I'm also going to add the twister into the mix, which is basically just, you'll hear a nice chorus sound. Okay, now let's do the reverse of that. So we're taking the bass down, we've got the treble up. And let's do it a little bit louder on the clean channel, just to see what we can get out of it. And I'm going to go on to full power as well, so here we go. Alright, so distortion, flat EQ at the moment, gain just above halfway, and the volume down quite low. So here we go.
And this is where this is heading, obviously. I'm just going to turn the gain up full blast so you can hear what that sounds like. So that's so much fun. Just going to turn the gain down a little bit so we don't have much buzz when I'm talking. Yeah, it's just an incredible amount of fun. Now I'm going to play around with the EQ and be a bit more sensible and also go into standard tuning again. So give me a second and we'll do that. Let's give it a bit more gain, read off a bit of volume. I'm still going to stick with a similar EQ. I'm just going to roll off some of the high end, push the mids a bit more, push the bass a bit more. Scoop out the mids. Let's push the treble and the bass. Let's have a bit of fun. A lot of fun again. Let's bring some of the mids back in. I think we got neighbours about a mile down in that direction that are going to be annoyed with this. Just to drop the volume very slightly. Right, so what we're going to do now is push the gain up all the way, and that was just on 9 o'clock and it sounded awesome. I'm having so much more fun than you are right now watching this because I'm actually playing through this amp and it's great. So here we go, all the way up, and I think what we're going to do is maybe push the treble a little bit further. The bass is maxed out and it sounds awesome, and yeah, let's just see what this sounds like. Here we go. I don't ever want to stop playing through this amplifier. It's just absolutely brilliant. It's a big, bulky muscle amp, basically. It's equivalent of like a Ford Mustang in the car world. So my wrap up is that basically I love this amplifier. It's great. I might just steal it. I don't want to send it back to Orange, really. Partly because the shipping would probably cost about £1,000 alone because it's so heavy. So the price in the UK is £1,399, which I actually don't think is too bad. But when you're considering that it's just a head and you've got to get a cab as well, then you're going to pay a lot of money for a cab on top of that, and you really need, well, minimum 2x12. Preferably a 4x12 for playing on stage at least. But I mean, I'm not really even sure that, you know, if you're thinking about buying this amp, that money would be too much of an object to you, because this is kind of top of the range really. It's a flagship model from Orange, the OR100. You're probably not going to worry about too much about parting £1,400 with it, because the chances are if you're looking at getting it, then you're going to be gigging a lot with it anyway. So I think that's the kind of the market there. But I can't recommend it highly enough. I could probably talk about it for another 20, 30 minutes and then I just run out of energy and need a nap. But it's just so fun. You know, when you're a kid and you play through an amp, it's got loads of distortion and you think it's the best thing ever, but it's actually just a crappy tranny amp. And then you play through valve amps and the distortion sounds great. I've always played through 20 watt, 30 watt amps, and then you play through something that's like 50 watts or 100 watts, and it just breaks your balls and it sounds awesome. I'd love to just get this on a stage, max it out, and just see what happens, as I think it actually might shatter some rib cages. So good work, Orange, and great amplifier.